Hey y'all, I'm interviewing myself here with this mic. I released Fair Sunshine, which is a long, like 3-hour instrumental CD, all designed to help dial down the distractions without being a distraction itself. So me, I'm an avid reader, see, I read stuff, and what helps me read is the type of music that I'm putting out. And I'm putting it out because I hadn't really found like the perfect reading music for me personally. So I'm like, hey, if you like it too, that's great. But I'm actually mainly doing it for me. I'm sorry if that sounds selfish. But I like the longer songs because it lends itself to sitting there reading something for hours. A lot of guys do like the similar sounds and stuff, but the songs they release are so short. And so if it's always changing, that's a little bit distracting to me as a reader. But as I released Fair Sunshine, I had some questions from some different musicians that don't know much about the effects that I'm using, but are curious on how to use them and everything. And so I'm like, hey, I'll just do like this real-time looping session, give you a commentary of what I'm doing, what's going on in my mind, or what I'm doing to the pedals to get the sounds that I'm getting through the guitar to help you maybe. And so I started playing this style just because it was really grabby, and like I said, I was doing it mainly because I wanted to have stuff I can hear. Like, I'm primarily a bass player. That's my bass, Bartolini all the way, and just an old cheapo Mockingbird, but I kind of like the style, and that one's been with me for about 15 years. And I like that one. Sometimes I'll use it in looping, but typically I don't, especially with some of the low octave shimmers on the Big Sky, which I might talk about if I use that in the loop. So I've been doing a lot more acoustic and electric, and so that Dean EVO Special actually has incredible tone. I love the tone versatility on that thing, and you can make it sound like a whole bunch of different guitars. And so I thought I would replace that soon, but I honestly can't find something that I like the tone on as much as I like that. So those old Dean EVO Specials are pretty legit. And so anyway, I'm just want to give you a heads up on my setup. There's my board, and so I've got it all wired stereo, and it's going directly into the interface in the recording software. So I don't use an amp at all. When I play live, I usually run direct in the system because the tone I'm getting from the pedals from that EVO, and then that's a Taylor 714 that I use as well with the first expression system in it that I still really like. So no amps, just running straight in. I'm very pleased with my direct signal sound. So the board's, again, wired stereo and going direct in. So that's enough about that. And I'm going to sit down and turn the camera around and just do a real-time loop, build something up, let it sit for a little bit, and then if you like the track and you're like, man, I wish I could listen to this without him talking so much, then go over to Bandcamp and I'll release whatever I'm about to do on Bandcamp just as a single. Then also pick up Fair Sunshine too. But anyway, that is it. I'll see y'all at the end of this. Maybe I'll say bye or something. All right, hello everyone. Grabbing my guitar, and I started there with just the volume swell, as you can see, but then I turned on the Seraphim pedal by Neunaber, which is their wet reverb, but then also has a octave up shimmer, and I use that pedal a ton. So I haven't started the loop yet, but there I hang out on the root chord, and then I just froze it, and so you'll hear kind of like, sounds like bagpipes to me, coming in the background at the same time the reverb's following me. And I just started the loop, you probably saw that, and I'm gonna turn on a preset that I have for the cloud on the Big Sky. And so I've got it set on a darker tone, and my mix on both those reverb pedals working together now is about 60%. And you can see there I got about a 17-second decay tail on that Big Sky, and it's about the same on the Seraphim over to the right. And so I use those two reverbs together quite a bit. They sound tasty. And so the key in playing with reverb and having that big ambient sound behind you is patience. Oh my gosh, patience. So otherwise, the reverbs, and especially when you start bringing delay and stuff in, can get out of control pretty quick. And we don't want out of control. And I'm about to stop the loop. And so now the loop is closed. Now on this ditto, the bottom left pedal, and we'll keep repeating what I just played. There's switches on the top of it, and I have one of them switched so that when I am done recording the loop, it will set my time but keep recording. That way, if I have a long reverb tail like you're hearing, it will continue to record that after I've set my loop, which has been a very good function that the flashback on top of that does not have. And so I'm done with my acoustic guitar, plug in my electric. You can hear me plug it in. I gotta adjust my volume pedal again. And so I'm just bringing everything down, making sure I have no reverb tails that's going to cut abruptly if I stop the recording of the loop. Because in the bottom left you see the red light's still on, so it's still recording. And that means it just started over. And there, I've done recording, so I can make racket. It won't record it. Recorded some of my racket already, sorry. But where the green light is now, that's one loop bank, and there's a second one just to the right of that. And so you have two 5-minute banks that you can either combine them or set them up to play different parts. Right now they're combined. And so I'm going to hit record on the second bank to create another loop that will play and sync with this one. Once you set your timing for your first one, it really doesn't matter when you bring in the second one. If you stop and start it close to the same time, it'll automatically track, so that's kind of nice. What I've got going on here is I turn the flashback delay on, and so I'm doing a reverse delay with the dry signal completely out. And you probably saw me earlier messing with the knobs, getting that done. And then what I'll also do on the guitar is I'll darken the tone most of the way dark, because I like the reverse sound with a little bit of the reverb from the Seraphim with a darker tone coming from the guitar. I think sounds good. So I love the reverse. You don't want to like overkill it. Don't want to overkill anything for that matter, but little something to keep it interesting, but at the same time, again, not distracting. Alright, so I just turned on the Mel 9 pedal, which is an effects pedal that simulates the old Mellotron keyboard. And those noises, that pedal sounds dumb by itself. I hate it because it sounds just like that old Mellotron. That really doesn't sound that great. But you put some delay, so I just put a delay 2 delays on it. Turn in some high mixed reverb, so hardly any dry signal coming through. And you've really got to squash it on the compressor for these pedals to not go out of control on you. If you get the Mel 9, see you hear there, I have it on the cello setting coming in, and so that's not the Mel 9 just by itself. It's 2 delays. I've got the Big Sky room reverb and the Seraphim wet reverb on there. And that to me is a nice sound. Just the straight up cello from that sounds awful. I also have a good amount of dry signal mixed in as well with the cello signal coming from that pedal. Is how I usually have that set up. And I use a similar setting for a flute that you'll hear coming up. So you can see I'm controlling it with the volume pedal because I don't want it to be too loud. I want to be able to pull it back, but you don't want a quick attack coming in because you're trying to simulate the cello, and so the volume pedal is very, very useful for those type of effects. So stop the recording for a little bit. So here I'm coming in with one of my presets from the Blue Sky. It's actually the bloom setting with 100% mix, and I think about a 20 to 30 second decay. But it gives a nice choral sounding pad to me. So it's that high part coming in. And there is a choral setting on the Big Sky, but I honestly like the bloom a little bit better. I use the volume pedal for a ton of stuff with this style. I also have next to the Seraphim pedal that more slow engine pedal, which comes in handy too and has a similar type effect to the volume pedal. So I'm bringing in an organ. Depending on your speakers, you might be able to hear it or not, because it's very faint in the background, but you'll hear it swell in here. bringing the decay on the Big Sky down with that knob because it started just colliding a little bit. But one of the reasons the organ didn't come out so clear in the recording is I forgot my tone knob was still dark from doing some of the other stuff. And so if I had brightened the tone knob up a little bit more, then that organ pedal would have had a little bit more to grab a hold of. But I find myself using that more than the Pog because the presets are nice, and then when you want the organ click, it's nice to have that option. And so I use that in lieu of the Pog to get a similar type sound. Alright, so switching over to the flute back on the Mellotron, and same thing I did with the cello, putting a decent amount of reverb with shorter decays on it, but then I have the 2 delays on it, so when you swell in, it really beefs out the sound. There you hear again the flute cycling back around. So I'm just going to leave it recording to make sure everything decays out smoothly. Got another preset, it's a shimmer, but it's only shimmering, I think, 1 and 2 octaves down. Love that sound, and I'm a bass player, so that low end just makes me happy. actually forgot to record while I was doing that low-end work, and so now I'm actually recording it. The blue pedal in the middle, right next to that Boss tuner, that's doing the wavy light thing at you, that's my tremolo pedal. I didn't use it in this video, but you have a lot of control over the tremolo effects, and it has tap tempo, which I love on a tremolo, so you don't have to kind of dial in the settings. And if you listen to Fair Sunshine, I use it a pretty good amount, and I really like the reverse button too. But anyway, just a lot of great features on that pedal, which felt like I should let you know that. But I don't use all of them on the board for this. Just some of my key ones. And then also I'd mention the compressor on the far right bottom is made by Walrus Audio, and they have a lot of controls on that you normally don't see on a pedal board compressor. But I like it because depending on the effect, or if I'm playing acoustic or electric, I'll have the compressor dialed in at different settings that complement what I need it to do. And so I actually really use it a lot, even for my acoustic guitar. I know a lot of guys don't use compressors on acoustics, but just because it can be so subtle, it is quite a helpful little tool. Gotta have my coffee. Tasty, delicious coffee. Enjoying the pretty music with my noise-canceling headphones. Trying to think of what to do next, because I was pretty much done at this point, but felt like I wanted to just bring in some other sounds and show you some of the other pedals that I use to kind of accent a bass that I'll create similar to this. And so I just turned on the Spatial Delivery by Earthquaker, and I got that to replace the Arpanoid. I still have the Arpanoid, but I don't keep it on my board because there's no room, and it wasn't as useful as I thought it would be. The Spatial Delivery does a little bit more of what I was expecting the Arpanoid to do. And so what you'll hear with that in the background here is it's a sample and hold with a random envelope filter on it. So off with that, I'm actually going back to the reverse delay to build up a little bit more, I don't know what else to call it, melodic tension. compressor again. Finally hear me coming in with the reverse delay. And now this is a fun pedal. It's called a Dark Star. And it's a reverb pedal, but it puts different effects on your reverb. Similar idea as the Procession from the same company, but I've got it switched for this one on the Bit Cruncher. So I'm gonna dial it in to hold a note, so it does kind of the same function that the freeze pedal did, but it will freeze my reverb signal that I put in it. And so I'm gonna freeze the reverb with the bit crunch effect on the reverb, and then while it's frozen you're able to manipulate the octave, and then you're able to manipulate the bit crunch rate. So you can't really hear it right now because I had the setting down low because I wanted to freeze it so that now I can adjust things with the knob. So now I'm bringing the volume up, and then you'll just see me manipulate different things here in a sec with it. So that was bringing the bit rate up and then bringing it back down really fast again. I like noises. So I'm done, pulled a plug, and I'm pretty much just going to play with the Dark Star, the Freeze, and the Looper to end this thing. And so I'm fading the Freeze back up, but it's still masked by the volume of the loop, and so you're not going to hear it until everything drops down. And I always play sitting down when I play live or wherever, so that I can just manipulate stuff with my feet, because that's a big board to kind of flamingo around on. So I'm going to fade out the second loop, go back to the first one, and that far right black knob on this pedal is a reverse effect, and so I'm going to fade track 2 out and reverse track 1. But then you can still hear I have the Freeze and the Dark Star still acting as kind of a pad effect in the background. I just switch that knob up on the Ditto on the looper to fade out when I'm ready for it to fade out. Wrong one. Right one. I'm bringing the decay up a little bit. And I'm going to turn the shimmer on the Seraphim. So that really high part was from the shimmer setting on the Seraphim reacting to the dark star. I turn the shimmer off as I'm fading down, and then I'm just going to phase out my frozen chord and the dark star. And that's pretty much it. So you're with me for a real-time looping session. A lot of my friends that I play guitar with are intimidated by this type of music style because they haven't sat down to play with reverbs and what volume swells do with delays. And so a lot of people look at my board or something and they're overwhelmed by it, and rightfully so maybe, but I would just say, like, I got one pedal at a time. And so you just grab some effects and mess around with all the knobs, see what it will do. And then I'll just say not all reverb is created equal. And so if you're more of a crunch guy, wanting to get into more ambient sounds, your typical reverbs that you put on your overdrives and stuff aren't going to have the same effects. And so I've really come to like the Strymon reverbs and Neunaber reverbs. I know there's some other ones out there that give you some nice smooth tails, but anyway, just practice, play around with it. That's it. All right, so I had fun. I hope that helped, having the commentary to let you know what was going on. I was just kind of cutting up at the end, but I kind of like how it sounded. And if you like that, you can go purchase this track. Will be available as a single. I don't know what it'll be called, but it'll be up there next to the full album called Fair Sunshine that is available. And it's just 3 hours of this type stuff to help undergird you reading, praying, meditating, and just falling in love with Jesus. So see you guys on another video.